Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto TBV Vortex news update. And today we have full spoilers for Chapter 17 of Boruto TBV Vortex, and the matchup that so many of us over here on the channel have been waiting for is officially here. The two strongest characters in the series are finally at long last about to do battle, and even crazier, it looks like there is a beloved character who is about to take that long pushed off summoning jutsu to ninja heaven high up in the sky, because we have an extremely strong implication that they are indeed about to die. So get ready to have those packs ready. If you're a hater and if you love said character, you're going to want to light some candles, play sadness and sorrow, and pour out a little liquor because they've had a good run. Real quick, the chapter drops officially on the 19th this month because of Jump Festa happening in Japan this weekend. The chapter review will likely be up a couple of days after the release, depending on when we get raw scans. If we get them today, I'll be able to send the audio to the chapter review editor. If not, I thank you for your patience and your understanding, because that means that the review will be out 2 days after the official. Lastly, the Boruto and Sumire video that I planned for today is obviously going to be pushed back, but the editor I hired to do that video did a really good job. I think you guys are really going to enjoy that one. So as always, we will touch on portions of the chapter that stood out the most to me based on the leaks, and then I'll give my thoughts on what we have, and anything that seems like it needs more context, I'll save that to address in the review, because this is always the case. People see the leaks and etc., and they judge the whole chapter, start complaining, and then the stuff they complain about is literally addressed in the chapter. So a large portion of the leaks I'm going to be using today are going to be coming from Rai, a notable leaker in terms of materials that we've gotten in the past. And as of this recording at 11 a.m., I've not seen raw scans, so something else has changed as of this recording. If it's big enough, then I'll do a video tomorrow and push the Boruto and Sumire video back another day. Jumping right into it, we have Damon flat out saying that he wants the smoke, and it is proving the thing we said here on the channel correct, which is if you have Kashin Koji telling Konoha to keep everyone away from Jura because there is a less than 1 in a million chance, or a 0 chance depending on the translation you go with, of someone being able to defeat Jura, and if Jura is engaged it will result in mass casualties, we said Damon is going to hear that and immediately go looking for this guy. That's exactly what happens. Damon learns Jura is in the village, and his immediate reaction is to get up off of Ada's lap, is to set down his milk carton, and is to go to prepare to confront Jura. The reason being is that Damon wants the opportunity to prove himself as being the strongest. That's his answer for why he's going after Jura, and he isn't taking no for an answer. While that might be frustrating for some of you guys that Damon is going out blindly to confront Jura, I think it's a pretty smart move narratively. It's in character for Damon, and in all honesty, this is that one matchup that needs to happen for several reasons. First, one of the last lines we have from Damon in part 1 at the very end was that he had never been able to fight at full power at any point in his life. It was part of the reason why Boruto was allowed to leave, because he saw the potential in Boruto to one day have the power to push Damon in a fight, something that even Boruto was shocked to even hear him say. It's very hard, and it's very much in character for Damon to do anything other than to seek out the people who have the potential to, at the very least, push him, which that would obviously be Jura, who checks off all those boxes, and likely Jura would defeat him. He's someone who Boruto's being told to actively avoid because it will result in his death. He is someone who Boruto made it clear he knows he cannot defeat unless he and Kawaki team up, and there's that stipulation that Kawaki has to have his limiters removed so that he can reach Ishiki's offensive attack power level, which shows how strong of a threat Jura possibly is. That two people beyond Jigen teaming up wouldn't be able to defeat the 10 tails made out of Ishiki's essence and Code's chakra, and even Boruto alluded to the fact that the battle might be intense enough that Momoshiki would take over, which is only adding to the toxic nature of the situation. We saw what Jura was able to do so far, putting Kawaki to sleep and just toying around with Himawari to the point that she was his human target practice for firing off condensed Bijudama, Also, you could see how fast she could regenerate and how long it would take her before she ran out of chakra, which that's devious work, especially when you realize he was basically practicing that jutsu before shooting Boruto with the same thing. Jura, on the other hand, he isn't the type of person to go seek out confrontation, but if you bring it to him, or if your potential interests him, like it did with Himawari, who he also had as a target that he wanted to eat out of his desire to consume Kurama's chakra. Since Kurama was once part of the Ten Tails, a separate Ten Tails, it does make you realize that these two, in an odd way, they are kindred souls. Neither has been allowed to use their full power in battle. Both seem to appear to like battle, and it's because there hasn't been anyone strong enough to push them yet. They've both been making a mockery out of beyond Jigen power levels, so it's only right from a narrative perspective that you have both of these characters square up for a battle that is coming, because it gives you greater insight into the power scaling, and it allows you to better adjust where other characters in the series fall, especially someone like Kawaki, who is getting his limiters removed during this chapter, which we will touch on in a moment, because there is some importance in that. Though I will say I want a little bit more context on that whole situation, because like, don't get me wrong, like I am very, very excited about that whole situation of Kawaki getting his limiters removed, him confronting Amato in this chapter, and potentially Daemon getting ready to go after Jura. I kind of feel like both of those things happening in the same chapter might be a little too much, just from a pacing perspective. So I want a little bit more context. Again, I haven't seen the raw scans, but if all this is in there, I'm hyped. What's also interesting here is that our concern that we expressed here on the channel a few weeks ago, it did end up coming true. Sarada has suffered a drastic mental nerf because of the confrontation that she had with Class Rep that took place in the last chapter. Even though the enemy is right in front of her and the battle lines they've been drawn, her mind, it is not fully on the fight ahead. And for an Uchiha, that is a very dangerous place to be in. As you know, Uchiha, their chakra, it is closely tied to the yin chakra of their body, to the point that it is the primary chakra that dominates all Uchiha. Yin chakra is attached to the spirit, the heart, and your mental state of mind, basically your emotions. When these things get amped up, it lends itself to things like the basic Sharingan and the abilities of the Uchiha getting a boost, and when they have the Mangekyo Sharingan, these things tend to lead themselves to an even bigger boost when the spirit's been riled up. Oftentimes, this has been because of the emotion of hate, which fans commonly refer to as that Uchiha hatred amp, but other emotions such as love and loyalty have also led to similar boosts. However, when the mind is in shambles for whatever reason, even in the case of a normal shinobi, it results in the mental nerf that causes a severe hit on their offensive capabilities. For an Uchiha, that's an even bigger hit. A famous example of a mental nerf would be how Minato went from utter goon when he arrived on the battlefield in the 4th Ninja War to the moment where he saw Obito as the masked man who almost killed baby Naruto and did indirectly kill Kushina. It caused a monster decrease in his ability. Not even the pep talk that Naruto gave Minato after Obito became a Ten Tails Jinchuriki was enough, and Minato didn't fully regain all of his fighting spirit until after the Biju tug of war against Obito ended. Another example of how you have this is the anime only scene during the Konoha Crush arc that revealed during the Hiruzen versus Orochimaru battle. Hiruzen had a far worse mental nerf than the manga alluded to, on top of his regret of not killing Orochimaru when he confronted him when he found out Orochimaru was experimenting on kids. The anime reveals that during his final moments, the whole time he fought against Orochimaru, Hiruzen was seeing him as a small 8-year-old child that Hiruzen was teaching the ninja arts to, constantly moving back and forth between viewing him as an adult and viewing him as Orochimaru as a child. For Sarada, Sumare's words, they still cut deep, and based on what I've read, she is grappling with her own thoughts and feelings as to why she hugged Boruto in the first place, which means strap in, boys and girls, we got ourselves an official spicy triangle being set up, and this is going to get messy in a good way. It is noticeable enough that even Mitsuki has continued to keep a close eye on Sarada. He's concerned, and it's because of how drastically she's been impacted, and I think that while that will piss some people off, I do think it's the right decision, because even when you go back to when Kishimoto first wrote Sarada's character 10 years ago in Naruto chapter 700, which was never animated, the one common theme that we have, even going back then, is the fact that Sarada, she's always been an emotionally sensitive child. And that was something that was even further built upon when you get into 2015 with the Naruto Gaiden, the 7th Hokage, and the Scarlet Spring stories. That'd be Naruto chapters 701 through 710, or Naruto Volume 73, as I like to call it. Even in that, it was expounded upon. And just given that Boruto tends to do a better job at capturing some of the female emotions while still dabbling in some of the cliches, I think it's okay. I'm not terribly upset at this. I have faith that this can be executed properly. Like, don't get me wrong, like compared to new gen series, as in manga that started in 2020s, I don't think that Ikimoto does as good of a job as, say, the mangaka for Dandadan. Boruto's part of that old generation. It came out in 2016. I know this is technically a sequel, but it's a continuation of a story that started in 2016. So that's part of that old generation with My Hero Academia and Black Clover and etc. I think he does a better job than some of his older gen peers. So I'm going into it with an open mind. He's earned my respect for that, between some of the character writing he's done for female characters and building upon the original draft that Kishimoto had for Boruto. I think we're in good hands. Could it be better? Absolutely. I do not think that Boruto writes female characters the best, but I will say it does write it better than some of your older shonen. So I'm not bummed out. I'm going into this with a completely open mind. I feel like they've earned enough of my trust to see what they can do with this. So regardless as to what feelings she may or may not have for Boruto, the whole conversation happening when it did was the worst possible timing because it directly impacts our yin chakra. The next thing of note here that we really have to take a look at is that everything is happening for the most part directly as Kashin Koji wanted to, but we are again seeing something that we discussed here on the channel unfolding, which is that Boruto and Kashin Koji, there is a subtle tension building between these two, and when it builds over, that should be one of the final nails in the coffin for the people that want to make this a Jiraiya and Naruto 2.0 relationship, when Boruto and Koji don't have that bond on that level, whereas Jiraiya worked with Naruto because he was his godfather, and being with him made him feel like he was raising his grandson by his own words. Koji has approached things so far from a more purely logical perspective. If he has any type of attachment to him, it's more so again like the Oracle and Neo from the Matrix. Kashin Koji being the Oracle, Boruto being Neo. Boruto gives them the best chance to change the future, and he's riding on that horse until it can't run anymore, which means he's going to protect Boruto from himself at all costs. Boruto's made it known in this chapter he can't allow him to die, and he won't sit by, even if it means Jura will kill him. So who is the he? Who is the him in this case? It's none other than Konohamaru Sarutobi, and this is where things get really interesting. As Matsuri versus Konohamaru is getting ready, we have Matsuri, she's flat out blushing in the presence of Konohamaru, which means my man needs an apology from the entire Naruto community. He's beating the fraud allegations throughout Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, from his increased strength and the power of his new Rasengan barrier to now he's become the Riz Master. Just looking at him and being around Konohamaru, it has Matsuri getting all red in the face, and she is clearly experiencing some wetness that's going on, meaning not only is Konohamaru about to get his first ever trip to Splash Valley, but he might even lose his virginity before he dies. Hopefully for him, Matsuri don't have some SeaWorld action going on downstairs. After all, she got on that tight leather outfit and they are in the middle of the desert where it is probably 200 degrees. However, the danger in all of this is that Kashin Koji purposely assembled this team in the Sand Village, and our fear that he isn't above letting people who Boruto cares about die if it means the safest path to the best possible future looks like it's going to be true. Koji reveals that the teams being split up is exactly what he wanted, because it means that the Awakened Shinju, they've all been split up. Jura is inside of Konoha looking for books, no word on where Hidari is. Mamushi is in the hideout by himself. Ryu has been split fighting against Sarada, Mitsuki, Yodo, and Oreya, and that leaves poor Konohamaru left to fight against Matsuri. Either we're gonna see Konohamaru show that the manga giving him that Afro Konohamaru design has raised his Riz upgrade 300 points, or he's about to pull out the biggest fumble in manga history and get packed up while Matsui steps on this man and makes him say mommy, all while Hiruzen and Asuma are refusing to claim this guy when he gets to Ninja Heaven. Boruto appears to know that this might be the case, given how desperately Boruto is seeming like he wants to go out there, because he doesn't want to lose his former sensei, even if Konohamaru doesn't remember him for who he is. Even with Kawaki getting his limiters taken off, there's going to be a lot going on in this chapter, and I want to wait until I get the full raw scans so I can have a couple of translators look at them so I can get the best information. No disrespect to Viz's English translator. She does a good job, much better than My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen's translators did. Those are god-awful. But I tend to go by the Spanish translators and the ones that I have a couple people who are fluent in Japanese who help me out on the channel, including one who is naturally born in Japanese. And since it's a context-heavy language, I tend to lean on them more so because it's not a one-to-one translation into English. So there are small changes depending on who translates into English. Again, this is a reminder, the chapter review will be up assuming we get raw scans today on the 19th when the chapter drops, or the 20th. If not, it might be the 21st or 22nd before you guys get the review, since my review editor does need a couple of days to do the review. In the meantime, click here to watch the newest Naruto Explained video, or click here to watch this highly recommended Momo ISA video essay on Anime Explained that is safe for anime only fans to watch. You should really watch this if you want to get a preview for the type of videos that you'll be seeing starting April 2025.